Hello and welcome to some more World of Tanks. I'm hoping I'll get my T-25 back in a second so I can do a quick kind of review. I think I already have played it a bit, but basically someone recently asked if they should get the T-25 and I didn't really have a full answer because I haven't really played it enough to like kind of say my thoughts on it, because it is reasonably good. It's kind of got decent armor. In fact, I'll go over the specs now because I might as well whilst I'm waiting. But it's relatively fast. Again, I don't think I've ever actually got it to 60 kilometers an hour. But yeah, apparently it can get to that. But the hull armor is kind of, it's okay, it's not great. If we compare it to the M4, we've got, the M4's kind of got 51 on the front, so about the same. Probably in terms of bounciness, again, they're probably on par because they've got quite nicely sloped armor, which I obviously can't show you because it's not back yet. But the hull armor is 38 on the rear and sides of the M4, whereas on this one we've got 45 on the sides, which is obviously better, and 35 on the rear, which is slightly worse. So in terms of overall, they're kind of like on par with in terms of hull armor. But the T-25 has 60, and 35 on the turret, and this one's got 63, 63, 63 all around. So you can already see that the turret on the M4 is a lot better. So in that regard, overall I'll probably say the armor kind of favours the M4 in a way, but again the armor differences aren't going to be too noticeable between the two. But again, this one is slightly slower apparently, but it probably can actually realistically get to that speed with that engine power. And apart from that, the damage, again, I'm kind of imagining, yeah, it's about the same. M4 kind of pulls ahead a bit, but the thing is that the T-25 does have a slower rate of fire, which kind of negates the alpha damage, which is kind of on average, I would say. But on top of that, the reload time again makes it kind of an average kind of medium tank's gun. But the signal range again on both, this one I haven't actually got the best radio, but this one can go up to 615, which is, yeah, that's pretty good. But this one, because it's like a premium, I suppose, they've kind of put like a really good radio in. 710 meters, which is very good. I think even like scouts probably struggled to keep up with that. Yeah, so in fact my T-25, presumably from like the sheet specs, 60 kilometers an hour, 710 meters signal range, kind of makes it seem more of a scout tank, but obviously it's not, because it's not quite, doesn't really get to those speeds. It's a lot bigger, although having said that, this VK here is pretty big actually for a scout tank, and again it just doesn't really take much to kill this thing. But I was hoping I'd get my T-25 back relatively shortly. Okay, here we go. So we got victory that time, so pretty good. But when I go into a game, I will warn you that like I've always had this problem with fraps and World of Tanks. Whenever I'm recording, like frame rate goes down to ridiculously low numbers, and I'm never really sure why this is, because if I'm playing normally, I've got VSync on, which obviously locks my FPS to 60, like never drops below, it's obviously locked so it doesn't go above. But then whenever I record, I seem to get like anywhere between 10 and 20 FPS, which is a bit odd really. And again, I know this game isn't particularly well optimized as a whole because it only runs on one core, which in this day and age is pretty bad actually, because it should utilize like multi-threaded applications. So I'm not sure if that affects fraps, because fraps can't quite keep up or something. Maybe it's running on the same core or something weird possibly that causes the issue. But anyway, we'll see how this goes. It should be a relatively quick game because I don't have too much time.
Time to roll out.
But yeah, it is fairly good. You can see it is relatively fast. Again, I'm not sure how quickly we'll get to anywhere like 60 kilometers an hour, but it is relatively mobile. Traverse speed isn't great. I think it's 30 degrees a second, which isn't amazing, but it's not too bad. And I mean, it is quite a large tank actually as a whole. It is probably bigger than the M4, but again, armor wise they are kind of almost the same in terms of hull, but the turret armor on the M4 is a lot better. Again, the only issue is with this thing is that you're unlikely to bounce much. I noticed in a recent game I did do with this is that the KV1 doesn't struggle to penetrate this armor. Even if you slope it or anything, a KV-1's still going to do a lot of damage to you, and at the same time this gun won't really penetrate a KV-1 at the same time. And another issue I find with this gun is that the aiming time is pretty bad actually. As a whole, it's not great. It's like a few seconds or something. And yeah, we've just got this scout guy trying to scout us out. I can't really shoot him at all. Just slightly annoying. Although it may be able to... Okay, he's disappeared. Which isn't too useful. And this is kind of a typical game which I managed to record. As in, we are losing quite badly. For some reason, I don't know why this always happens, but pretty much every game I've recorded recently we've always lost. In fact, I think the game still has this issue with all of this stuff going on. Slightly annoying. With the teams, seem to be slightly imbalanced.
One of our tracks is damaged.
Pretty annoying.
We've lost a
And
track.
now being killed by this T-25.
They killed our driver. We're covering his position, but not very well.
And we're being shot by someone else. So at this point we are dead, so it's just taking one shot, and that's the Electro, which is tier 4 I think actually. If I can find it. Yep, that's tier 4, and that killed us. So you can see that the armor is pretty rubbish actually as a whole. Not too great. It's kind of annoying with medium tanks because at tier 5 the armor on most medium tanks seems to be irrelevant, apart from the Matilda's got pretty good armor. And that's probably the only medium that will actually deflect quite a few shots, whereas most of the mediums, M4, T-25, if you're being shot at by any tank destroyer, or the KV-1 for that matter, they're going to do a lot of damage. Pretty much, I don't think I've ever bounced too much on this thing, unless it's kind of like a tier below. Or... okay, the Electro did, obviously, but that's a tank destroyer. But yeah, the armor isn't as great as you think it should be, even though it is quite nicely sloped. I was angled at that point, but again, didn't really make too much of a difference. You can see the gun is reasonable. The aiming time is pretty awful. Reload isn't great. It's kind of average reload time. Damage again is kind of average for its tier, so overall I wouldn't say it's an amazingly special tank, although again, if you like mediums in that regard, in fact I don't really play too many mediums, so possibly that's why, because I'm not like too great at them. But again, you may like this tank. I mean, it is like fairly decent as a whole. In terms of mobility, it is pretty good. I think you've just got to kind of get to grips with how you play it, because obviously I haven't really played this tank much at all. I haven't had too much time to bond with its mechanics and see how it fares in different situations. But anyway, I hope you did enjoy the video, even though I didn't actually kill anyone. I did do some damage at least, but the thing is, as usual, when a losing team game, where it doesn't really help me either, because if you're in like a bad team, you're going to do badly anyway. But I will tell you, I am currently in the process of downloading World of Warplanes, which has just been released, so if you didn't know about that, head over to that now. Looks quite interesting. It's kind of started off pretty basic, there's not too much going on. But other than that, it does look quite good, so I'll be downloading that soon. I think I did play... I can't seem to remember that other one I played, but there was the other one, which was pretty good, but the thing was that it's kind of had like ground warfare as well, whereas what I like the sound of World of Warplanes is that it's just like World of Tanks, but with planes you've got tiers. It's easy to understand, because obviously I played World of Tanks, and as a whole it is just plain warfare. There's no worrying about bombers, like having to bomb like a base or something. But anyway, yes, there we go. Thanks for watching guys, hope you did enjoy the video, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.